PU monthly report for April 2025. Art ships. In the EU, the team focused on closing out tasks for Invictus launch week, including 3 new ships planned for release at the event. The Misk Starlancer TAC was also completed for its upcoming flyable release. Case confirmation the TAC is coming out. We saw the TAC video last week for ISC, or was it week before last? Can't really remember. But that ship is highly anticipated, something that we are all looking forward to, or a lot of people are looking forward to. A lot of people were guessing and guessed correctly that it would be available for Invictus launch week, given the fact that the Max was released last year, which means, you know, the variants aren't too far off as far as development time. Like, it's much easier to develop a variant with existing assets than it is to create a brand new ship from scratch. So progress is also made on 4 unannounced vehicles. The first is progressing through white box towards full production, while the second is approaching its gray box review and Lot 0 complete. Okay, so that one is pretty much, that one's moving at a pretty good pace. That might be a smaller vehicle. The third was briefly shown in a recent episode of Inside Star Citizen. What ship is that? The third, which was briefly shown on a recent episode of Inside Star Citizen, is progressing through concept. The fourth vehicle, progressing through concept. Oh, okay. So that was like, there was an episode of ISC that they did with concept vehicles from, heck, that might have been a couple months ago now. The fourth vehicle, the first in a while from an existing manufacturer, has been formally kicked off. Okay, so this is a ship or vehicle that is from an existing manufacturer that hasn't had a new ship in a while. So that could be a number of ships. I'm trying to think. Gray Cat probably, because Argo's got the Atlas, so it's not Argo. Gray Cat's probably a good guess. I think, can't remember the last Anvil ship that came out. I think it's been a while. It's probably, no, I'm sorry, the Terrapin did come out at IAE, so it may not be an Anvil ship. Kruger is probably a really good guess. And then Consolidated Outland probably is another one. Hesperia, maybe, I don't know. There's a handful of manufacturers that really hadn't seen a new ship in a while, so, you know, if you want to leave a guess in the comment section, feel free. The Consolidated Outland Pioneer continued through the pre-production and white box phases. The modular kits were solidified alongside more structural changes to improve the flow and movement through the ship. The team also continued to define the core visual elements to inject the Consolidated Outland art style. Numerous paints were also created for new and existing ships for release in upcoming events. The North American content team began closing out 2 new variants with polishing and bug fixing. An all-new ship progress too, with recent decisions being made on cargo capacity and tractor beam placement. Okay, so it's a cargo ship. Interesting. I wonder who's making that. The RSI Apollo continued through gray box phase with new concepts for the med bay area and bridge. Okay, so the bridge and medical bay have been reconcepted for the Apollo, probably doing things that make, I wonder, you know what? I wonder if the drone bed thing got scrapped. Although that's not technically, wasn't technically part of the medical bay or the bridge. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd imagine that the med bay area and the bridge received some changes for gameplay, but definitely looking forward to updated look on the Apollo, where it's at currently, since it's currently in gray box. Sounds like that could be a ship we see around CitizenCon, definitely IAE if things progress as they are. No updates on medical gameplay or any changes coming down that pipeline outside of the changes to the respawns with tier 0 item recovery. So it would be really nice to get an update on medical gameplay and the Apollo as well. Finally, for ships, work continued on the RSI Perseus to define the interior look and feel and ensure it functions as intended. Nice. So don't know what phase we're in. I think the last we checked, it was somewhere in gray box. So who knows? Hopefully we'll see that ship soon. Get an update. I'd imagine that the interior has changed a bit, because if I recall correctly, the concepts did not include any engineering section. So there were quite a few things missing on the interior that will be needed for this ship to function as intended. So I'd imagine that the interior has seen some adjustments. I'd be curious to see if they add like a tier 3 medical bay in it. I think it should have one. If the TAC has one, why wouldn't the Perseus? Like, there's definitely space. There's a section above the cargo hold that is like, it's an open top cargo, kind of like the Constellation, but there's a catwalk that goes across. I'd be 100% fine with them closing that top layer, that second deck off, and putting more rooms instead of having that open air cargo bay, which visually cool, but functionally that space can be used for other things. The ship doesn't need to carry like a bunch of cargo, but having something like a suit locker, an armory, a small med bay with like at least one or two beds would be nice for a ship of that size, given that it is primarily supposed to be a patrol ship. It needs to have things that will help facilitate its function, which is to patrol. So things like that are, I think, logical updates and changes. And of course, like I said earlier, engineering, because it did not have an engineering deck. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What stood out to you the most? Yeah, that's all for this monthly report. As I always say, peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you always.